Buena Vista Park is significant in all of these pieces of my career. It's my anchor. There's my house. That's what I get to look on, this beautiful park. We started a group back in the early 80s of Friends of Buena Vista Park. That gave me a lot of experience and knowledge about the struggles of the park system. My first few years of life I spent in Yellowknife in the Northwest Territories. That's about 200 miles south of the Arctic Circle. And it's a place that you became very aware of nature and its power. And I remember sitting as a child staring at the little buttercups as they came out in the spring and thought that was the most exciting thing in the world. And then it just sort of has translated into the ongoing look at the green things in the world and how we can protect them. I started a tree planting organization in Oakland with Governor Jerry Brown called the Oakland Tree Task Force. And that was really the first nonprofit that I established. Then I was asked to join the board of Friends of the Urban Forest.
It costs $150 to plant each tree, according to Friends board president Isabel Wade.
And when we started off and we had a goal of 500 trees a year, we've only been in existence.
Isabel could accurately be called a founder of Friends of the Urban Forest. The fellas who got the organization started were certainly very interested in planting trees in San Francisco, but as I understand the story, didn't quite have it completely together on the organizational administrative aspect, and they invited Isabel to come in and kind of tighten up the ship. She probably had no problem cracking the whip and getting those guys lined right up.
Isabel embodies real grit and determination. She was back working for FUF 3 days after giving birth to her son.
I met Isabel because I needed a place to have a party. And someone suggested her house, that she would be generous, and she is generous, but they said there would be payback. And for 30 years, I've been paying back.
I set up Urban Resource Systems, which has been now the mothership for all of these other projects that I got going. I also was the founder of California Relief, which was the statewide tree planting project.
Then we began a project called Zoo-Doo, where we were taking the contributions of the zoo animals of San Francisco and turning it into high-quality compost. Isabel will take contributions for her projects from wherever they might come.
Then we got the AIDS Grove going. We wanted a site that really was significant in Golden Gate Park and to make it a place for long-term public involvement so that those lost to AIDS would not be forgotten.
One of the things I most admire about Isabel is that she's not only an advocate for parks and green spaces, but she interjects what I like to say are her correct and liberal politics into that, meaning that she believes that we need to have parks for everybody.
Back in the old days, in the beginning, with Isabel and came to me as a supervisor, and we worked to get that first Prop A and Prop C on the ballot. It's just incredible, the momentum, and just simply would not have happened, exclamation point, would not have happened without the Neighborhood Parks Council.
The city needed a little prodding to make these parks a priority. So she began the Neighborhood Parks Council.
With parks, we have to get the government to do its job.
Well, the Neighborhood Parks Council has an annual meeting with the mayor, and the question always comes to mind when we get ready to schedule the meeting with the mayor is, who's really in charge of this circumstance?
Annual Park Scan report. So hopefully you can read that thoroughly. When you're trying to interface with the city government, you have to deal with the political structure. Those are really big things, a lot of kudos for your choice.
Let's get to the fun part.
Okay. Because we did figure out the channels of power and how to try to make what needed to happen, happen. And a version of work plans was completed, but it's not what we would consider meaningful.
All right.
I think that Isabel often gets mischaracterized as being too opinionated, too strident. And what I've come to realize is that's just people who are upset because they're wrong and she's right.
You know, Isabel's tough. She's not going to allow bureaucracy and red tape and, stupidity to get in her way of getting stuff done for San Francisco. and she probably never thought she'd get it, but here's a certificate of appreciation from the Recreation.
And she is a real angel superstar.
I knew that I wanted to be her ally and her friend, mostly because being her enemy just scared me so much.
Twice a year we have social events at Neighborhood Parks Council. And the idea there is that really this is a coalition, and a way for people to meet each other is important. Some of the volunteers have been doing work in their parks for 20 years. It's just very impressive. And all of those things and the people involved in them really are inspiring to me.
We want to do it with you, and I can't say that enough. Many people in my department, when I took the job, said that I should actually be overjoyed that my appointment coincided with Isabel's retirement. Isabel has been known to drive city staff and city managers kind of nuts, but she does it with a twinkle in her eye.
She's founded some legacies on trying to better monitor and improve city services, not only for the Recreational Parks Department, but citywide.
Our founder and longtime visionary leader has decided there are many other projects to tackle in this world, and that it's time to, after a summer break, move on to greeting perhaps the rest of the planet. I'm not really sure.
Neighborhood Parks Council is now going through a transition where I, the founder, am stepping down and turning it over to a fabulous new executive director, Meredith Thomas.
How does it feel to step into being the executive director, or how does it feel to follow Isabel Wade? I think those are two different questions. When I ask people, what do you think of MPC? Invariably they answer, well, Isabel and I have known each other for 30 years. And I said, no, that wasn't my question. My question wasn't, what do you know about Isabel, or what do you think about Isabel? My question was, what do you think about the Neighborhood Parks Council? And right now they're so deeply linked that it's important to me that the organization have an identity that recognizes and honors her work with the organization, but also has a life of its own.
We stopped even saying that she's retiring because, of course, no one believes us.
She'll take a little time off, hang out in Sonoma with Jan, drink some good red wine, but she'll be back to something very soon. She's not retiring.
She's not retired.
I know you're not retiring, you're just going to be taking on a new set of challenges for the people of San Francisco.
As a citizen of San Francisco, I also want to thank you for everything that you have done to make this a healthier and greener and more livable city to live in.
Thanks, Isabel.